The southern region, which really hasn't been touched because it has still a lot of original rainforest. So we try to stay out of those areas to try and impact upon them as less as possible. The overall site again. So with regards to the precincts essentially outline what we're actually planning to do for the property. It's really important at this stage that what we say to everyone here and everyone who's got concerns about the property is that it's a concept master plan at this stage. Alright, there has been no detailed design. The concept master plan basically means that when we go through this EIS process, we'll look at trying to mitigate any of the impacts as far as we possibly can. We will look at trying to modify the design if we find that the EIS impacts too rigorously upon the land. And if that doesn't work, then we'll look at modifying the design, which means changing parts of it or including parts of it, scaling parts down. But at this stage, it's just a concept. Alright, we're in detailed discussions with the state government at this stage because of the complexities around the approval process of this project, because of its size, also because of all the state agencies that are involved. It's been deemed what they call a coordinated project. So what a coordinated project basically means is that because we've got agencies across all levels of government, federal, state and local, the state government steps in and says we're going to deem this a coordinated project and it's going to manage the approval process on behalf of all of the proponents. So what that means is we've got the Environmental Protection, Biodiversity Conservation Act, which is a federal act which we come under, it's been referred to that as well, a host of state agencies, I think there's 7 or 8 state agencies, which I'll talk about later in the approvals, and also then we have the local Mareeba Council. So with regards to how the approval process will work from here, is you're probably aware that there's been a draft terms of reference that's been circulated and it was open for 30 days to submitters to send responses back to the state. That draft 30-day period finished yesterday, on the 27th of September. So from here what happens is the state government's going to consider all of those draft submissions, basically look at how those draft submissions will or will not affect the draft terms of reference and come up with a final terms of reference, which will basically outline all of the terms and conditions that we have to abide by through the Environmental Impact Statement. So the Environmental Impact Statement is a very, very important document for us, and it also is for others. A very important part of that process is going to be the community engagement with the local community and also with the Mareeba Shire and also with the state. So at every step of the process, in response to every single line on that final terms of reference, we have to constantly give feedback back to the community about how we're going, what we're finding, what baseline measurements we've done, what baseline tests we've done, and how the proposed change of use of the land is going to impact upon the land. Alright, so we're aiming to have the Environmental Impact Statement done within 10 to 12 months, and that would be a very good result for us if we could achieve that. Now, with regards to the communicating with stakeholders, the EIS is basically going to formulate the crux of everything that we're going to do for the next 12 months. The land is currently approved for cattle farm. It's always been a cattle farm. Everyone's aware of Barnwell Road Farm. It's been a cattle farm for probably 40 years prior to when Ken acquired the property, and it's still a cattle farm. So what I guess confuses some people about this project is that we are carrying out some activity on the land still. And we'll continue to in relation to its existing approval, which is for cattle farming. KUR-World itself cannot commence until after the EIS process is completed. The state government will then make a recommendation to the Mareeba Shire Council, and the Mareeba Shire Council either will or will not approve a development application from the proponent, which is Mareeba Nation. So that's the process. It is quite complicated. These things do take time, and they require a lot of money and effort. The last 3 EISs in the state have done nothing, essentially. The last 3 EISs that have been approved have not moved forward, which is something we're trying to avoid. We're trying very hard not to over-promise and under-deliver on what this project is about. We understand there is a lot of local people that have objections and concerns about the size of the project, about the potential environmental impacts of the project, and about how it's going to affect the local community. Right, so what the EIS will do, it will break down the project into three main areas: the environment and the effects that the potential change of use could have on the environment, the community, and the effects it's going to have on the Kuranda Range, jobs, culture. Can't hear? Okay. Better?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, guys. And from there, so there's three components: the environment and effects. The environment itself, the local community, and also infrastructure. So we'll look at how we're going to possibly deal with wastewater, where we're going to get water supply from, the effects it's going to have on local infrastructure that already exists, and what new infrastructures we're going to have to build to deal with a project of that size. The other thing is it'll be staged. It'll happen in 3 stages. It's not just going to be KUR-World's going to be approved and then the next day we're going to start a $650 million project. It's not how it works. So stage 1 will be a relatively small stage. It'll consist of, there you go, the equestrian centre, 50 lifestyle lots, stage 1, preliminary roads and services, access to the property, and probably the 3.5-star hotel. It's not a 3 and a 4-star hotel. It's a, I'm calling it 3.5 Ken, a 3.5-star hotel, and the luxury 5-star hotel is further on down in stage 2. But what I really want to talk to you guys about today, I guess, other than discuss some of the impacts and the concerns which everyone's going to have, which we understand there will be, but we want to talk about the business opportunity that a project like this is going to create. When you look at stage 1, even in isolation, the farm theme park, the 50 residential lots, the preliminary roads and services, we're going to need civil contractors, we're going to need carpenters, we're going to need electricians, plumbers, and we're already engaging all those people on the site now. Not for KUR-World, but for other purposes. So and they're all from the local community. One thing which Ken made very clear to me very early on in the piece was that he wanted to ensure that we had some local outcomes. And what that means, in my mind, is that he wanted to make sure that whenever there was a situation where I needed to engage a contractor, was that I looked very closely at the local community first to check that they had the capacity to carry out the works. And if there was, I was to give them a job. And when you look at this stage 1, what have we got? The equestrian centre, 270-room, 3.5-star hotel, convention centre, entry features landscaping. That's going to be worth probably about anything from $200 to $240 million. All the consultants that we're engaging through the EIS process, we're trying to ensure that we have the capacity locally to deliver this project locally. So we get to a point and finalise the actual design team that's going to lead the EIS. I'll lead the EIS, but I'll have a team of professional consultants around me that specialise in the environment, community engagement, and infrastructure services. We won't do the EIS the same as what a lot of the other large proponents have done EISs in recent past. Ports North was the most recent one. Like you probably recall, they went straight to a large international firm and said, deliver me an EIS. But that's not something that we're going to do. We understand the environmental concerns and the community concerns are things that are absolutely paramount. If we don't do those things well in this process, the EIS will fail. Right, so we're conscious of those things. We understand that there's a great deal of concerns about the impact of the land by changing this use. We're taking those things very seriously. Stage 2, so essentially if all goes well, 10 to 12 months from now, assuming we can get the final terms of reference released from the state within the next fortnight. We're hoping to get the final terms of reference released within the next fortnight. From there, we'll start the EIS process proper. It may take us 10, 12 months, it may take us 14 months. If we get all green lights from the state government and everything goes well, it could be shorter than that. If we don't, which you have to cater for, it'll be longer than that. We just don't know. I can't sit here and say that we're going to start construction on June 2018. Right, it's a process that we have to go through, and it's dictated to us by the coordinated status through the state government. Stage 2, all going well, could commence as early as September 2000. Most of these stages will probably be 2 to 3 years in duration. And stage 3, all going well, the KUR-World campus, we're in discussions right now with tertiary education providers that are interested in merging with us and putting a tertiary education campus on the actual site itself as well. So there's lots of impacts, potential impacts, direct and indirect. Just switch through there. All right, let's do that. So the other concern is what's happening on the site right now. Well, right now the property is still approved to be a cattle farm. And Ken's got a number of cattle, which he's holding on adjacent properties across the tablelands. He has anywhere between 150 to 200 max at any one time held at Barnwell. So as a result of that, as a result of having cattle on the property, we need water feed lots, we need fencings, we need to ensure that there's sufficient grass on the property, we need irrigation. So the works that have happened on the site today relate to, not KUR-World, but relate to 112 Barnwell Road being a cattle farm. Right, there's been a dam half built on the site, which I'm sure we've all heard about, and there were some mistakes associated with the dam. Right, I'm in the process of rectifying the dam. We've got an operational works approval from the Mareeba Shire Council. We had another meeting with Tom on Monday this week about fast tracking the rectification works to make sure the dam can be completed and absolutely completed before the next wet period. Right, because it can't continue in its current form and function, which is an open hole at the moment. So yeah, a lot of cattle fencing, we have cattle grazing across the region, a lot of other farm activities or related to farm activities, and ESC stands for sediment erosion control. So we're also aware that on the property we have some sensitive creeks with some other sensitive flora and fauna that interact with those creeks. So we're doing our absolute very best to make sure that any works that happen on the property, there is absolutely more than sufficient sediment erosion control measures in place to ensure that no more sediment in any way, no matter what type of rain event we have, could ever flow down those creeks again. Impacts? So with regards to the impacts refer to if we are to put this project on this land, what are the potential impacts that are going to result on the land? And is there one before that? So at the moment we're doing a whole lot of baseline studies. Which means we basically look at what's happening on the land right now. We analyse the amount of water that the land uses right now, the amount of sewer the land uses right now, and we look at all of those baseline measures and we draw a line in the sand and say, right, that's what's happening with the property at the moment. And then what we do through a list of our consultants which we're putting together is that we're going to forecast that when this project is operating at 100% capacity, what are the baseline measures now? And we're going to look at how those impacts are going to impact upon that land. Alright? And potentially looking at all of those things. Flora, fauna, water quality, water use. This is not an extensive list by the way, it's just a major example. How it's going to affect employment, how it's going to affect market data, what's going to happen with housing prices, cultural heritage, what's going to happen with infrastructure services, what impact, if any, which it will have some percentage of impact, is going to happen with people, the increase in traffic travelling on the Kuranda Range. I say that because it's one of the ones we've received 27 submissions as of yesterday. I don't think we've received any more, Harry. I think 27 is going to be the magic number. So we're looking at all those submissions, and I was reading them all last night, and a lot of them refer to the effect that the property is going to have on the range, with people coming onto this land. Right? The extra water usage that the property is going to consume. How are we going to deal with sewer and effluent control on the property? That's been the primary concerns. And then obviously the major environmental concerns about the flora and fauna that currently exist on the land. So we're going to look at the land considerations. We're going to look at how we can possibly develop more relationships so we're not just utilising existing infrastructure. We're going to try and be smart. It was interesting when you heard the speaker early on talk about sustainability innovation. Right, they're two comments that Ken's made it very clear to me in particular, and Harry has as well, that there are two areas that we can't call ourselves an ecotourism resort and not consider ways in which we can probably do things more innovatively and hopefully result in more efficient processes at the end of the day. So innovation and sustainability are very, very important topics for us. And if anyone here has any ideas and would like to talk about those things with us after the meeting, we'd sure like to talk to you. Social and economic effects. An EIS isn't just about identifying the negative effects of a project. It's also about identifying potential positive ones. The community values and priorities, workforce participation, infrastructure services. So, the main impact that keeps coming back to us, other than the Mareeba tree frog, the Mareeba palm, and the Kuranda Range, is really the scale. The scale of this project represents within a small community like Kuranda. And what my response to that initially is, well, we know it's got some environmental constraints. And that's part of what makes the property so special, is that if we can deliver a project like this and try and mitigate the effects that's going to have on those structures, then it could result in a really fantastic property and a fantastic experience. We understand that not all of the impacts will be able to be mitigated. So they either be managed, or at the end of the day, I'll have to give a recommendation, and Candy may have to modify its design. Alright, so the EIS isn't just going to assist the general public, it's going to guide us as well. It's going to guide us in what we can and can't do with regards to the project. Because it's very important to understand at this stage, it's a concept plan. So from an approval point of view, can you just flip through the approval slide there? The approvals are that we must go through this EIS process. We must detail extensively what some of those impacts are going to be. There's another one that says, next slide. That one. Nope, not it either. Keep going. One more. Anyway, what the slide basically says is that because of the extensive approval process required by the state government, what's going to happen now through this next 12-month period is we'll detail every single impact that's going to result in relation to the final terms of reference. So the draft terms of reference was going to get updated in response to the 27 submissions that were received throughout the last 30 days. As a result of those 27 submissions, the final terms of reference is going to be released. Right, the approvals are relatively simple from now. Is that on the completion of us finalising the environmental impact statement, however long that takes, a recommendation is going to come from the state government. So the state doesn't actually approve it. The state will issue a recommendation to the local authority, which is Mareeba Shire Council, and it'll be Mareeba Shire Council at the end of the day that actually approves or does not approve the development approval, which gets lodged as a part of what they call the MCU, which is a material change of use. At the end of all that process. At that time, we'll then start entering into a detailed design phase. And that detailed design phase will more than likely be staged in relation to starting with the 50 farm lots, the farm theme park, the equestrian centre, and some of those other items we saw in stage 1 earlier. So it's important to understand that, because it's not just, KUR-World isn't just going to happen. Realistically, it may not be completed until 2027. Right, so the first stage at the earliest may commence on around 2018, June, if everything goes to plan from here until then. It would be a much smaller section of the entire project that would commence first. And it may not get well received. It may not work. It may not get approved. We're hoping it will. We're confident it will. We're confident that even given the environmental constraints of the land, that the project can succeed. So I don't really have much more I can say about the project, other than we'd like to talk to you guys about any other opportunities you have. I know a lot of people are here representing local businesses. We're going to stay around afterwards to talk to you all in more detail if you have any more questions. But, would you like to go some questions from the floor?
You talk about the 27 submissions. Are they public submissions or government submissions?
No, they get made through the state government, on the state government website. The submissions are open.
So
you should be able to have access to them now.
It's open to public.
Yeah. Open to public review.
Whilst it's all just under still the scope of things that you say it is, the Kuranda residents themselves would like to know when this type of presentation will be put forth to the residents of Kuranda, rather than up in the Mareeba Shire, even though we're part of Mareeba, because it is the Kuranda residents with their lifestyle that is possibly at stake here, that we have as ratepayers have been and should be entitled to actually access and have this meeting with you all.
I guarantee you one thing right here, right now, if you like. And Candice, I spoke to you about some of that because I thought that would be one of the questions. We came today because we're invited.
Okay.
All right, we've never knocked back an invitation with anyone from Kuranda that's invited us to come and sit down and talk reasonably about this project.
Yeah.
And I also guarantee one more thing is that once the final terms of reference is released, the first meeting we have like this will be with Kuranda Group.
Okay.
Will be in Kuranda with Kuranda people.
And can I have one more question, please?
I was trying to get it to spread around.
Sorry.
If you could just wait a minute.
Sure.
Sorry. I'm just trying to be fair about it.
Just wanted to comment to your question. The only reason this came about, we asked. I know some emails were circulated. It wasn't. We just asked for a presentation to be made to our members. So I'll take some more questions. I'll come back to you in a minute, but I just want to get it around. I've just made that rule. I don't like to break it.
Any other questions? We'll come back if there's no other questions. Any other questions? More to shoot?
Whilst you're actually on the go there with looking under the environmental impact of the whole thing, and you've got the right people in your books looking at it, I have an understanding that the cultural heritage side of things is almost being neglected, even though it actually says and states in one of your brochures that you've been given and the heritage study has been approved of. It was not approved by the people, the elders of the area of cultural significance, because none of them have actually been approached as yet. Just another question as to, is that going to be rectified?
Yeah. Before we ask another question?
Yeah.
That's not true. We've approached the local Indigenous group, which we believe is the Jabbergai group. We've been told when we've been led to confirm with our coordinators that the people we need to speak to are the Northern Land Council. The Northern Land Council represents the Jabbergai community. We've had one meeting with the Northern Land Council group, and the main gentleman there is away at the moment. I think he's back this Friday, and our communications group is going to ensure that they'll sit down with Glenn. I think it's Glenn. But the Northern Land Council has been confirmed that they're the group that we need to talk to in regards to the local issues. Okay, and we've had communication with them.
All right.
Any other questions?
I'm just going to stand here because I'm pretty sure it'll come from this way.
Yeah, I know, but if there's going to be a dialogue like that, we might allow you two to have a meeting on his own later. Which is fine. Just want to get, is there any other questions? We'll do one more question from you.
No, it's okay.
You sure?
Yep.
All right. Then I was going to sum it up anyway, but so there's no other questions?
There is one more from the people of Kuranda, if I can pass it to you. Would you be prepared to separate the KUR-World master plan and remove the 373 high-density residential housing blocks to retain the tourism operation only? Reason being, urbanisation is a serious concern on such ecologically fragile land, which what you've already pointed out that you're aware of. And as in a quote from the strategic plan 2009 to 2031, the quote is, "Myola is not considered necessary for urban development in the light of this regional plan."
I can stand here right now and all I can say to you is I do not know what the full extent of the impacts of this project are going to be. I don't know. And that's why we're going through this process.
Beautiful.
The environmental impact statement process is a process. And it's not just a process that you guys will benefit from. It's something that we will benefit from. It is. I'm not just saying that to you. We don't know what the impacts are. You can't tell me what the impacts are. And we don't know them yet either. So the process is going to be very detailed. It's going to be very detailed. And at that first meeting, I'm sure that one of the things we'll be doing first up front is talking about how the final terms of reference reflect exactly what you're saying. But no one knows what the impacts are going to be just yet. The whole idea of the impact statement is to identify every single impact and how it's going to be affected by what we're suggesting with that material change use. So I can't sit here and tell you that I know what those impacts are, because I don't. Right? No one does. We've all got concerns, and we understand there are concerns. And the whole purpose of going through the environmental impact statement is to outline those concerns and try and respond to them. At the end of the day, if we can't mitigate, manage or modify the project to fit in the EIS, It won't happen. That's the reality of what we're doing. So, and I just can't sit here and give the answer. I don't have them to my.
Thank you. Any other questions? One over here.
And that's why I asked if there were submissions, because it doesn't make sense to me that you'd have submissions prior to doing the investigation.
You're spot on. So what happened was on the 27th of August, they opened the draft terms of reference. Right, that period stayed open for 30 days. The submittance period closed yesterday, on the 27th of September. So we haven't got the final terms of reference yet. I don't know what they are. All we've got is a draft terms of reference. So once the state considers the 27 submitters and sees how that's going to affect the terms of reference, they'll then issue what they call a final terms of reference. And that will form the basis of what the EIS will examine. So we're right on the cusp of a lot of change right now with regards to how that's going to reflect the terms of reference. And once we have that, that'll form the basis for us moving forward. Yeah.
Question.
Yeah. Just quickly. Excluding the construction phase, which you'll understand will involve some contractors or subbies and so on for the district, what do you regard as the major opportunities for Mareeba and Kuranda businesses?
Right now, as we go through the
construction phase. When
we're in operation,
operational, what are the advantages or opportunities for Kuranda and Mareeba businesses?
Just go back to the staging counts. At the end of the day, that is what you're referring to. That potentially could be, as we propose it, that is what KUR-World will represent. So all of those things, equestrian centre needs to be built, it needs people to be looking after the horses, needs vets to come feed the horses, needs people to come and
those are individual opportunities. What advantages are there to existing businesses?
well, we're going to need an operator too, for all those individual businesses. I'm sure Ken's not going to operate it. So at the end of the day, we're going to need operators looking after each one of the 3.5 star hotels going to need an operator, the residential villas are going to need caretakers, the medical wellness centre is going to need an operator, and it won't be the same operator.
Well, sorry, if I'm running a business, I'm not talking about shutting my business down or moving things, or stopping my business and doing one of your business. I'm just asking, if you like, for the opportunities you see for Mareeba businesses and for Kuranda businesses who already exist, who already have a function, who may or may not compete, to actually, what opportunities do you think will exist because of the creation of KUR-World?
Well, with the creation of KUR-World, that is what we're looking at right there. So we'll extend expressions of interest for all parties. If you have a business that can in any way leverage with us to assist in running of any of those concepts there, then we're open to talk to you.
Very well. I think to answer that question, one of the major issues
I've got to give him the microphone.
Is that KUR-World will also have a very good element of the Mareeba agricultural sector. They have an organic farm that will show off these bananas and so forth. The usage of food, you know, and added values that the region, this particular region, or even this area, this particular show, will apply to our guests who come to this region. So, look, the business opportunity, the channels are open. We're going for a horizontal development here. Once we get into gear, then becomes a vertical integration of the business. So, I'm not sure what sort of business you're in, but we will vertically integrate somewhere if you meet and we meet on the line.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to tidy it all up a little bit, I'd just like to make a point that the Chamber is always very supportive of any new developments that are being proposed, but they have to go through the proper planning process. That's one of the things that is a given in anything. So we're very supportive and very happy to have this discussion with KUR-World. But the important thing to remember is that there are opportunities, and from the Chamber's point of view, that's the role that we provide with this. And we also strongly believe in the market forces will determine any outcome, and that's whatever project has to meet all planning process requirements at all levels of government. So that's the important thing to remember from the Chamber's point of view. We know there are other issues that have to be taken into consideration, and the planning process will go through that and resolve it. So from the Chamber's point of view, thank you Mark, for your presentation. The only thing I would also add to anyone, to KUR-World, if there's any assistance that we can provide to facilitate any further discussion, not only just in the Mareeba area, but also further afield and also in Kuranda, we will be happy to participate in some process with you. Because we're very supportive of developments. We see them purely from an economic point of view. I understand there are other issues, and I'm sure that they will be taken into consideration through the process, but that's a matter for other levels of government. We're not a government organisation, we're purely an economic job investment orientated organisation, and we represent our business members from that point of view. But we do value all input, and we do think that's important that all aspects of any project needs to be assessed from a social point of view as well. And I'm sure that will be endeavoured. So I make that offer from the Chamber. If we can help in any way to facilitate the process, even if it doesn't go ahead, because I'm sure some people may even think of that, but we're always of the opinion that we would like to see developments go ahead because they bring benefit to the economy and to the community overall, and I'm sure there'll be lots of jobs out of this in the long term. So Mark, I'd like to present to you with a token of their appreciation for coming along. It's from Golden Rock, one of our members of the executive committee, and also one of the businesses that are part of our organisation. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to do the draw for a for much.